Chapter 30, Madara. Tension, so thick it almost seemed palpable. There was an oppressive pressure in the air and would have surely demoralized and paralyzed lesser individuals. Luckily, Toby was strong enough mentally to still be able to stand, let alone speak, after his rendition of events since his latest sensei's death. 6 bijou, said Madara as he stared out at the forest surrounding him. Toby stood beside Madara but a few steps back as they both were overlooking the land outside their hideout. The calm tone of Madara irked Toby because he'd expected rash aggression and verbal slander from the man. Instead, he was treated with an even worse outcome, disappointment. There's nothing like disappointing someone who depended on you or had hopes for you. It's a kick to the stomach. A physical kick can be healed, but disappointment was an emotional kick to the stomach that lingered. It was pain without remedy. It just hurt. So Toby said nothing as he sat in silence with Madara continuing to look outward into the forest. The silence was inevitably broken when Zetsu appeared from the ground and gave some news that released some of the tension. Madara-sama, the last 3 bijou are all in one place, said Black Zetsu as his white half continued for him. The Nibi, Hachibi, and the Kyubi are all facing off against the other members of Akatsuki. It does seem like the Jinchuriki will succeed. Though it may take a lot out of them and you can clean up and take all 3 at the same time. Madara's head picked up at that as his Sharingan glowed. It appears that you have been given a chance to reconcile your mistake. Let us go, we will collect the bijou now and finish Project Tsuki no Mi. Toby nodded his head before placing a hand on Madara's back. A spiral vortex appeared as the two of them vanished into it. This should be interesting, said Zetsu before he disappeared into the ground to get a view of the fight that was about to occur. Kumogakure, 10 minutes earlier. We never catch a break from these guys, said Naruto before dodging a myriad of attacks against him from one of the zombie duo, Kakazu. Just after dodging Kakazu, Naruto was met with the constant offense of Haiden as he jumped back away from swings of the man's scythe. 20 minutes ago, everything was calm and Naruto was just telling Yujito about Amage Cure. Then they noticed Killer Bee shift into the Hachibi. Yujito realized that if Bee did something like that within the confines of Kumogakure then he was likely in a battle and the two took off immediately. Luckily they did as they were met with Kisame battling against Bee and 3 more members of Akatsuki waiting for them in Deidara, Haiden, and Kakazu. Yujito set off to deal with Deidara as Naruto handled the zombie duo. Each of the 3 Jinchuriki were separated on 3 different mountain peaks turned platforms in their duel with Akatsuki. Almost in a triangle if one were to look from above. And Naruto was left against 2 opponents to contend with in the battle. The zombie duo was relentless in their assault as far as Naruto was concerned, especially Haiden. But Naruto had information on the 2 of them and Haiden wasn't really as good as his S rank led him to be. Immortality and wanton slaughter certainly bolstered one's reputation. Eventually, Naruto stopped dodging before stepping into one of Haiden's swings with a tri-pronged kunai in hand. Blocking the scythe with ease, Naruto planted a kick in Haiden's sternum to send him skidding backward. Naruto then looked over to Kakazu to see him standing still and just staring at him. A black being, comprised completely of threads with a white mask and red painting on it, appeared right next to Naruto as he looked on at its sudden appearance. Katan, Tsukaku, fire style, intelligent hard work, said Kakazu as a ball of fire appeared in the mask's mouth and fired off a powerful stream of fire that engulfed Naruto. The fire blazed for a while before coming to a stop to reveal Naruto burning completely. Though it was only a wood clone. Just like Hashirama. I can't tell the difference between the clones and the original. Kakazu watched his fire mask get drug into the ground by its ankles from a pair of hands belonging to another Naruto clone. As the being got drugged down, another Naruto was revealed behind it with a Rasengan flowing through the back of the mask's head. Rasengan, said Naruto as the bright blue ball of energy burst the mask into pieces as the threads simply went limp as if it died. Naruto let the Rasengan dissipate before looking at Kakazu. 1 heart down. For more to go. He has information on me, thought Kakazu before seeing Haiden run up behind Naruto to strike him down. Kakazu followed the movement with his eyes as he continued thinking. The kid is definitely no pushover. I have to be more careful about my approach. All I need is 1 hit. 1 drop of blood, said Haiden swinging his scythe with newfound effort and in a way that caused fewer openings than his previous attempt. Come on kid. Just mess up once. You're too slow to touch me, said Naruto blocking several strikes with his kunai before feeling Kakazu appear behind him. An orange chakra shroud burst around Naruto as he simply vanished from view, dodging the backhand from Kakazu in the process. Kakazu's eyes widened at the speed before he watched Naruto appear behind Haiden with a kunai lodged through his chest, directly where his heart is. The Kyubi, you tamed it, said Kakazu seeing the orange glow in Naruto's now slit eyes. Kakazu spat out black threads deciding to alter his game plan. This really isn't good. Fuck, that hurts asshole. Well, I could have put this kunai in your brain to see what that would have done, but you really are immortal. That's amazing, said Naruto as Haiden just stared at Naruto with a smug look. Yeah, so now you see how useless fighting me is. Just give up. You'll save me a lot of time, said Haiden before feeling Naruto turn his kunai inside his body. Damn it, kid. I'm immortal. What part of that don't you get dash? Unknowingly to Haiden, the small seal on Naruto's kunai glowed after Naruto twisted his kunai and it seeped out across Haiden's back. Naruto left his kunai in Haiden before stepping backward and clapping his hands together. Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, Uzumaki sealing technique, said Naruto placing his hands in the boar seal before slamming his right hand on the ground. A seal etched its way to Haiden before closing him in a circle of kanji. In the middle of the seal, an Uzumaki swirl appeared right below Haiden before sparking with lightning and glowing blue. Haiden appeared to be dragged into the ground before vanishing entirely, sealed into the earth with Naruto's kunai sticking out of the ground as a sort of tombstone. Naruto nodded at his work before looking at Kakazu. Haiden was a fool to allow an Uzumaki to touch him for that long, said Kakazu as Naruto tensed at Kakazu squatting down. Let's see how you compare to Hashirama. See if you even match his strength? Naruto noticed Kakazu's new appearance. Kakazu's threads had spread out of his body, taking on a sort of octopus-like appearance as Naruto could feel his chakra level increase in the new form. Not only that, Kakazu had the remaining 3 of his masks appear above and on either side of his head, all preparing a different element to send Naruto's way. Kakazu leaped into the air before stopping and hovering above Naruto in the sky. Naruto's eyes pandered up to Kakazu's before a small smile graced his face. At least he's not as dumb as his partner, said Naruto before frowning slightly. Why am I happy about that? That makes it harder for me. Naruto then dodged one of Kakazu's tendrils coming down as their fight began again. With Killer Bee. Oh ho ho ho, Hachibi. You're probably the strongest Jinchuriki I've ever faced. Maybe outside of Naruto-san, said an enormous Kisame with more shark-like attributes than before. Kisame had merged with Samehada earlier in the fight. This bolstered his physical appearance into that of a monstrous humanoid shark. And he was facing against the full Biju and the Hachibi at the current moment. This water prison is mighty big. But Killer Bee-sama still gonna split your wig. Yeeeehhhh, shouted Killer Bee in his fully transformed form, trapped inside a massive dome of water that Kisame created. In Bee's mindscape, he was tapped on the head by one of the Hachibi's giant fingers. Conserve your air. Stop all that useless rapping, this opponent is strong. I know that Ado. I am taking him seriously. Just give me a bit of your chakra and we'll wipe him out with a Bijudama. No rap meant Bee was serious. Outside of Bee's mindscape, a violent black ball began to form just outside of his mouth. Kisame merely grinned at the potent chakra being formed. That's a lot of chakra you're building up. Too bad though, said Kisame as he clapped his hands together for a technique. I'm your worst matchup. An enormous water shark appeared inside the dome of water with Kisame inside its mouth. Kisame thrust his arms out, the bottom of each palm touching, as the water shark made its way to Killer Bee who released his own jutsu. Bijudama, Tailed Beast Ball, Suetun, Daikoden no Jutsu, Water Style, Great Shark Bullet Technique. The two techniques met with Kisame's appearing to eat Bee's jutsu and grow in size before continuing forward. Killer Bee was so shocked at what occurred that he did nothing but take the shark right on the chin. The shark detonated and blasted him out of the water prison with concussive force. Word to your mama, that thing ate a Bijudama, thought Killer Bee as he laid on the ground, out of his full transformation, in just a standard version 1 Jinchuriki cloak. Killer Bee strained to pick his head up but in doing so was met with Kisame landing in front of him, taking a swipe at his legs with Samehada. Bee managed to evade taking the swipe but still lost his cloak in the process from the chakra-eating sword, further weakening him. Samehada's never been this excited about someone's chakra before, said Kisame holding the sentient sword in his hand. Samehada was also much larger in appearance from absorbing Killer Bee's chakra that its mouth became more pronounced and its size was bigger than Kisame himself. Thank you Hachibi, now just stay still and I'll cut off your legs. Kisame prepped for another swipe at Killer Bee but just before he did, Samehada twitched in a warning. Though it came too late as a blue blur barreled into Kisame. The ex-Kiri swordsman was smacked clear across a ravine and into the side of a taller mountain. Erubo, elbow. I, bathed in his lightning armor, stood over Bee with his elbow extended. I then looked to the Hachibi Jinchuriki to see him on the ground in pain from his run-in with Kisame. You're welcome. Thanks, Bert. You stay down Bee and regain your chakra, I'll handle him. Bee nodded as I took off to where he smacked Kisame. With Yujito. Why'd we have to get the long-distance one, kitten? Asked Yujito's Biju, the Nibi. Yujito was in the process of dodging another clay bird from the IWA bomber, Deidara, as she continued to scamper around away from his long-range assault. I'm not too sure, thought Yujito before unleashing a mighty blue fireball from her mouth that Deidara easily dodged before sending out another clay bird. If I had to guess though, I'd assume from our earlier run-in with those immortal dudes that we couldn't beat them before, and I'd still be hard-pressed now. B-sama was already taking on Kisame. Leaving us with this guy? Yujito dodged another barrage of clay birds sent toward her as the Nibi internally nodded her head. Makes sense. The rakeage has arrived at least, said Nibi before seeing a stream of blue beams approach Deidara at a rapid pace. Oh, more than just the rakeage. I believe the correct term is cavalry. Yujito just smiled. Yes, Nibi-chan. The cavalry has arrived, thought Yujito as she saw Ice Right-Hand Man, Darui, fire off power streams of energy at Deidara. Rantun, Ryza Sakasu, Storm Style, Laser Circus, said Darui firing off the guided beams at Deidara. Deidara grimaced at the powerful range technique, but his clay owl managed to evade all of the beams. Then the IWA bomber was blinded by a flashbang. Well, at least what appeared to be a flashbang. Raigen Reikachu, Lightning Illusion Flash of Lightning Pillar, said she as the bright light engulfed Deidara. Deidara recognized the genjutsu attempt almost immediately and channeled his chakra accordingly to break it. Upon doing so, Deidara just chuckled to himself. Cats move fast, I see, said Deidara as behind him stood Yujito, bathed in her blue chakra cloak. Yes, we do, said Yujito before extending her fingernails and lashing out at Deidara. Konoha, same time. Sure so, are you serious? Yes, I am Sakura. It really wasn't that bad, said Tsunade setting her teacup down on her desk. Jiraiya wasn't the lecherous Jiraiya on our date. He was just Jiraiya and it was mightily refreshing. Are you saying you actually like Jiraiya-sama? Don't insinuate that. That won't happen, said Tsunade picking up a document on her desk. There's a long backstory behind that which I'm sure you'd love to hear, but this isn't the place for that, nor do I feel like sharing it. Sakura only smiled at Tsunade though, despite her words. Tsunade-sama has a thing for her teammate, said Sakura as Tsunade's cheeks heated up into a blush. Not out of embarrassment but out of anger. Perhaps both. Sakura. For the dash, Tsunade's reply was cut short as her teacup cracked out of nowhere. Tsunade and Sakura both looked at the cup with worried expressions on their faces. Both knew something bad happened or was about to happen. With something like that, it usually preceded bad things. An omen of things to come. Root base. Katan, Hosenka Mekyaku, Fire Style, Phoenix Sage Fire Annihilation, said Sasuke before his chest puffed up and he launched out a volley of fireballs. The fireballs grew in size as they headed toward 8 target dummies. The fireballs hit each dummy pinpoint before exploding into a shower of fire around them. Sasuke admired his work before his eternal Sharingan looked over to the man standing directly to his right. The man had a small smile on his face at what he saw. That is an impressive jutsu, Sasuke-kun, said Itachi with his own EMS shining brightly in the dim underground base. Sasuke just smirked at that acknowledgement from his elder brother. Thanks, Nii-san. Though it's not the only thing I've been working on, said Sasuke as an ethereal being formed around Sasuke in a purple chakra. My Susanoo, I've accessed more of it. Itachi's eyes seemed to analyze the new Susanoo as he noticed a few differences about it from when the two of them fought. Instead of the arrows made of chakra like before, Sasuke's Susanoo now wielded arrows made of Amaterasu's fire. Sasuke could now fire bows of inextinguishable flames against his opponents. But that wasn't the only change, the other was a pair of wings spreading out of his Susanoo's back. The scaled hands, beak-like hood, wings, and Amaterasu arrows gave Sasuke's Susanoo a daunting appearance. Just before Itachi could comment on the new Susanoo, he seemed to jolt slightly before peering his eyes out to his right. Sasuke noticed the action and also looked in the same direction while letting his Susanoo fade. Knowing Sasuke would ask, Itachi answered before he could ask the question. I have a feeling something bad has occurred. With Naruto. Naruto stood, still cloaked in his Kyuubi chakra mode, in front of Kakazu who was looking at him with a grin on his face. Several branches were skewered through Kakazu's body as he sat motionless in the piercing trees. Coughing up blood, Kakazu was nearing the end. Seems that I still can't overcome that Kekai Genkai. You're the strongest of Hashirama's ilk in years, said Kakazu before coughing up more blood. Naruto merely took out a kunai as Kakazu left him with a few more words. Seems you really are Hashirama's heir. Even more skilled than I remember him being. Naruto spared no more words before planting the kunai into Kakazu's head, killing the dangerous Akatsuki member. Naruto looked over to his left to see Ai handling Kisame with ease and to his right to see Yujito, Darui, and she taking care of Deidara. Naruto just nodded his head, realizing that the other two fights were going well. I'll be the judge of whether or not you're comparable to Hashirama. Naruto's eyes widened recognizing Tobi's chakra signature and even more when Kurama told him who the second signature belonged to. Uchiha Madara? Naruto turned around and there standing before him, exactly like his statue at the Valley of the End, was Uchiha Madara. Madara had waist-length hair with shoulder-length bangs framing the sides of his face, covering most of his right eye. Madara had prominent creases under both of his eyes, which were blood red with his EMS staring at Naruto. Madara wore a blue high-collared, long-sleeved blue mantle that splits down the lower half and a simple, light brown obi and belt. On his back was his famous war fan that had a long black chain running up it. Madara just glowered at Naruto for a few seconds before nodding his head. "You seem like quite the challenge," said Madara with his arms crossed looking at Naruto. "To tame the Kyuubi inside of you is impressive. And hearing all of these stories about you only makes me want to find out if they bear any truth." Naruto didn't speak as he continued to look at the legendary Uchiha. This was one of the founders of Konoha. The penultimate shinobi of his best friend's clan. Naruto was then dragged into his mindscape to speak with his Bijou companion. "Naruto, do not trifle with this man. He knows that, Kyuubi," said Madara standing next to Naruto in his mindscape. Naruto's eyebrows raised at Madara's appearance inside his own mind but chalked it up to his prowess with the Sharingan. Itachi could do the same and so could Sasuke, why wouldn't the most powerful Uchiha in history be able to? Frankly, how was he even here? How are you alive? I believe his name was Nagato. He was forced to bring me back with a special technique of the Rinnegan. And I'm here to correct the mistakes of my underling in capturing you Jinchuriki? Madara, shouted Kurama as he stood up and snarled at Madara. Madara looked at Kurama before the large fox was silenced by the powerful Uchiha. Kurama's eyes glazed over as Madara looked back at Naruto. "Can't deal with distractions from a mindless beast," said Madara before seeing Naruto channel his chakra. Madara's eyes widened in surprise when Naruto's chakra was actually powerful enough to dispel his control of the Kyuubi. "That presence gives me nostalgia of Hashirama." Naruto didn't speak another word before the Madara in front of him was violently kicked out of his mind. Kurama clearly didn't like the Uchiha. Madara grinned at being expelled before addressing the boy in front of him. "Do not disappoint me," said Madara before blowing out a violent wave of fire at Naruto. Naruto was quick to act, having already placed his hands in the snake seal. Mokuton, Hobi no Jutsu, wood style, wood expulsion technique. A large, wooden dragon head surrounded Naruto and protected him from the powerful fire technique. Madara then had to jump back to avoid a large claw made of wood that attempted to attack him from underneath the ground. The wooden dragon head around Naruto sank back into the floor as Naruto just channeled more chakra into his second technique. Mokuton, Hote no Jutsu, wood style, laughing Buddha technique, thought Naruto as more clawed hands, reminiscent of a fox's paw, burst from the ground surrounding Madara. "Yes," said Madara as a blue chakra surrounded him, growing into his Susanoo. Madara's Susanoo had 4 arms as each one had a sword in hand. Madara did a quick spin and sliced the hands to stop Naruto's attack. Madara smiled as he saw Naruto had already moved again. "You dance well. No faltering in your steps." A crack formed against Madara's Susanoo as Naruto stood with an enormous Rasengan trying to crush Madara's technique. Sasuke's Susanoo would have broken from the size of this Rasengan. Thought Naruto needing to dodge a fist coming at him. Madara is on a whole other level than that Sasuke boy. That technique is based on the user's spiritual energy and willpower. "Madara has one of the strongest I've ever seen," said Kurama giving begrudging respect to the man he hated the most. "You'll need Sage Mode to beat him. That's not even the full might of his Susanoo." "There's more to it?" questioned Naruto as his question got answered by Madara. His Susanoo grew legs and stood in front of Naruto. Many times the size of the average man. No freaking way does his Susanoo have legs. Why is it so big? You haven't seen anything yet. That's not even the full Susanoo. "Come, boy. Show me the power of a Senju as only Hashirama could," said Madara before sending out another powerful stream of fire at Naruto, quicker than the first. "With I. Seems the stories are true of you being the fastest man alive," said a bloodied and beat-up Kisame. Kisame had been decimated in his battle against the Yondaime Raikage. And now, since Samahata wasn't within reach, Kisame couldn't even heal from his wounds. I just continued to stand before Kisame in his lightning cloak as he looked down at the defeated swordsman. "I won't allow you Akatsuki to take B or Ujido. Those other villages may not have cared about their shinobi but Kumogakure is different," said I as his cloak sparked a bit brighter as he prepped to finish Kisame for good. Rocketing toward Kisame with an arm extended, I prepared to take his head clean off his shoulders. Rariato, lariat. I hit Kisame across the neck. Actually, I didn't touch Kisame at all. Instead, I ended up rocketing toward the wall and stopping just before hitting it. I then turned around to only see the masked man standing there. I can't let you do that, Raikage. I have more use for him. The masked man, Toby. The real leader of Akatsuki, said I, reciting the information Naruto gave to him from his time with Nagato in Amigakure. The man who can evade any attack. Can be pretty much anywhere with your space-time ninjutsu. And lo and behold, is an Uchiha as well. Someone's done their homework. Toby then watched I turn to be before slowly walking over to him. I know you know better than to try and touch me. Because in that instance, I'll put you 6 feet under, said I in a serious tone before vanishing to his brother's location. Toby stood unfazed before letting out a sigh at the powerful Kage's words. As much as I wish to show him how wrong he is, he doesn't have a bijou. It'd be pointless, thought Toby before vanishing in another spiraling vortex. If he couldn't get to be without the Raikage's interference and Naruto was being handled by Madara, that left him with one option. The Nibi should be easy pickings. With Yujito. Yujito stood on her own mountain peak, flanked by Darui and she, as the three of them looked at the motionless Deidara on the ground before them. Wonder what he would have done if we didn't stop that last attempt, said Darui looking lazily down at the dead Akatsuki member. Deidara, after being violently beat off his clay owl, knew that he'd stand no chance against the cloaked Yujito. Let alone her with backup. So Deidara went with his last trump move, an explosion the size of 10 kilometers. Though it never came to fruition as Yujito appeared in front of him with a lightning-enhanced claw to the heart, ending any build-up of his final technique. Yeah, thank Kami you thought and moved fast, Yujito-chan. I don't know what we would have done, said she before jolting his head up. She looked to Naruto's location as he saw a large blue entity. One he recognized. I didn't know someone in the Akatsuki could use Susanoo. Yujito peered her eyes over to Naruto and her eyes widened at the scene. None of them can. There isn't one anymore since Itachi left. Yujito prepared to take off and help Naruto, but the sudden appearance of the masked man impeded her. Sorry Nibi, I can't allow you to do that, said the masked man as Yujito stopped her progress to stare at him hatefully. Not this guy again. But it won't be like AIM this time, thought Yujito, shifting her feet into a stance. I know your secret. Just before Yujito could move, an enormous explosion occurred where Naruto was at. Yujito looked past the masked man to see the entire mountain peak Naruto was on was destroyed and ablaze with fire. Naruto-kun, thought Yujito before seeing her boyfriend appear next to her in a shunshin. Yujito took in Naruto's appearance to see him missing most of his shirt, only the parts lower than his belly button remaining. His pants were also singed but were still intact and he was somehow free of injury other than missing his shirt. Probably due to the Jinchuriki cloak around him. Naruto-kun, what happened? Questioned Yujito as Naruto continued to stare at the platform that looked like a torch with the fire blazing the top of it. Big explosion. Very big. Toad oil and explosive notes? With Naruto, earlier. Come, boy. Show me the power of a senju as only Hashirama could, said Madara. Madara then placed his hands in the tiger seal as he prepped another technique. Katan, Goka Meshitsu, fire style, great flame destruction. Madara let loose a stream of fire at Naruto once again. Naruto channeled chakra as the ground around him cracked and a forest sprang up to fight the fire being sent out by Madara. Madara continued his flamethrower technique before catching movement at the edge of the mountain top. Naruto stood on the edge of the mountain with his hands in the ram seal. Dai Gamayudon, great toad bullet, said Naruto as his chest puffed up and his mouth filled with toad oil. Naruto let the toad oil fly off in a stream as it met the trees and fire right at their meeting point. The boy is fast. Not only will the oil ignite into a fire, thought Madara as he turned his Sharingan back to the trees, seeing white pieces of paper nearing the fire as well. He even managed to place high-powered explosive notes on the trees and timed it perfectly. I'm liking this. I haven't felt a thrill like this in a fight since Hashirama. Seems that Kakazu wasn't wrong in his assessment. Naruto's oil and explosive notes met the fire at the same time as it all detonated in an explosion of fire. Flashback end. And you just didn't make it far enough away in time, said Yujito as Naruto nodded. Never was one for the ending of your plan in making sure you don't get hurt. Oi, that was once on that floating ship that belonged to the Sky Ninja Fleet, said Naruto as Yujito just shook her head amused. Yujito's amusement ended though as she noticed the blue Susanoo land on the same platform as them, directly next to Toby. Unlike Naruto, Madara was untouched by the explosion and his Susanoo didn't even look fazed by it in the slightest. It was at that moment that Yujito, Darui, and she all recognized the man before them and their eyes widened in shock. Naruto-kun, please tell me that's not Uchiha Madara. I wouldn't want to be a liar, Yugi-chan. How is this possible? The Rinnegan has the power to bring back the dead, said Kurama, surprising Yujito that she could hear him. Don't worry, kitten. You're not crazy, said the Nibi to calm her Jinchuriki. Being a Jinchuriki, when you're close enough to another Jinchuriki, you can enter another mindscape. Another realm and speak to one another. Now listen to Kurama-kun, he'll explain it all since he's had the most run-ins with Madara. Yujito was ready to listen but was grabbed by Naruto and shifted to the other side of him to dodge a sword strike from Madara. Yujito was still held in Naruto's arms as she looked at him. Naruto was laser-focused as he looked at Madara. Keep your eyes peeled. You'll have to listen and move, Nico, said Naruto before letting Yujito go and placing his hands in the ram seal. Mokutan, Mokuryu, wood style, wood dragon. A large wooden dragon sprang from the ground behind Naruto as its lower end coiled around Naruto and Yujito. Naruto then turned his head to Darui and she, who both just sat back in awe of what was happening before them. Get out of here and get B to safety. Tell Raikage Dano to come, we may need his assistance, said Naruto quickly before turning back to Madara. Ah yes, Hashirama's famous wood dragon. A powerful technique it is, said Madara with his arms crossed as he looked down at Naruto and Yujito. Yujito and Naruto weren't paying attention to Madara though as they'd been steadily listening to Kurama during the momentary break in the action. So our best bet would be to run? Questioned Yujito as Kurama internally nodded her head. Is he really that powerful? Yes, Naruto, you remember how strong the chakra imprint of Hashirama was? Questioned Kurama as Naruto knew where this was going. Madara is considered his equal. You'll either need to use Sage mode and go all out or run, there's no in-between here. Right, we can't necessarily run. Toby can teleport. And I don't want to enter Sage mode here, said Naruto in reply as he let his dragon slide its way to Madara. We may be miles from Kumogakure but if the story is true about the Valley of the End, this site won't be big enough to handle that type of destruction without it affecting the village in some way. The village will be fine. It's just a place since I'm certain the civilians have evacuated, informed Yujito to keep Naruto from feeling guilty. Plus, if we run, what about B? Raikage-sama? Everyone else? If we just leave, that'll leave the village less guarded if he decides to attack it. Naruto watched Madara handle his wood dragon with experience garnered from his time against Hashirama as Naruto replied to Yujito. We'll take B as well. And if he's really after us Bijou, he won't bother taking out Kumogakure or anything else. I'm certain of it, thought Naruto seeing his wood dragon get sliced in half by Madara. From Gigi's stories, Madara is a man who will take what is necessary, no more. And the only necessary for his plan are me, you, and Kurabi. That's all. Kumo will be safe. Yujito seemed to begrudgingly agree with the plan as I sparked into the field next to the Jinchuriki couple. I saw the two weren't harmed before peering his eyes out at Toby and then Madara. Seems Darui and she weren't lying. Uchiha Madara has returned, said I staring down the legendary Uchiha. Madara just looked at the hulking Kage with his Sharingan. Yatsuki clan, users of the lightning armor technique. An ability that bolsters physical reflexes and speed to a degree of unprecedented quickness. So fast, even the Sharingan can't keep up, said Madara before adding. Well, most Sharingan that is. You'll see mine is a bit different. I'll go grab Hachibi while you handle this. Like hell, he will, shouted I before upping his lightning cloak. Feel free to go all out Naruto. You have my permission and it's likely a necessity for who you're facing. Toby vanished in a vortex as I sped to his brother's location. This left Yujito and Naruto alone to contend with Madara. Red markings began to form on Naruto's face as Madara's eyes widened in intrigue at Naruto. Sage mode. You really are just like Hashirama, said Madara as he looked on at the sage Jinchuriki that was Naruto. This is even better than I could have hoped for. Come, and if you are lucky, I may show you the full power of the Uchiha clan before your death. Naruto heard Madara's words and only responded by placing his hands together, palm touching palm. The ground began to rumble as the fight was underway. Omake, Assimilating the Roots, Part 1. Naruto-kun, what brings you here? Asked the Yamanaka princess seeing the Jinchuriki walk in her family's shop. Naruto simply smiled at Ino as he continued to walk in through the store to the counter. Hi, Ino-chan. I need a favor, said Naruto as Ino noticed the flowers began to blossom more and the colors grew more vibrant. Just like always. Simply amazing, thought Ino before turning her attention to Naruto when he asked for a favor. What do you need? Are you getting flowers for Yujito-chan? With each Ino continued to draw her face closer to Naruto's as if she'd solved the case. Naruto merely cocked an eyebrow at that as Ino had a set of flowers already ready for him, practically pushing them into his arms. No, well yeah but, no. There's just this, friend of mine and he needs a job, said Naruto holding the flowers as Ino deflated at that. Needs a job? And you're wanting to see if he can work here? Questioned Ino as Naruto nodded his head. Well, I can't hire someone, but I guess I can look at him and tell Two-chan. That's the thing. Your dad already hired him, said Naruto as Ino put her hands on her hips and gave Naruto a quizzical look. I just need your help is all. I can't do it alone. He's a little rough around the edges. Had a bad childhood and I need you to help him learn how to be a normal person. A normal person? What's wrong with him? Questioned Ino as Naruto shrugged his shoulders. It's difficult to explain. Trust me, you'll notice it as soon as you see him, said Naruto before looking at Ino with shimmering eyes. A powerful puppy dog face that always helped him win over Ino. You'll help me, won't you, Ino-chan? Ino's face never changed, nor did she fall victim to Naruto's pleading look. Naruto realized it after a few seconds and rose an eyebrow in confusion. What is going on? That always works on you, said Naruto as Ino just placed a hand to Naruto's whiskered cheek. Honey, ever since you started dating Yujito-chan, and me and her have become friends, I've grown past you. None of that will work on me anymore, said Ino patting Naruto's cheek a few times. But I can do this for you. Where is your friend at? Behind you, Yamanaka-san. Ino nearly jumped out of her skin at the voice before turning around with a fist cocked back out of pure reaction. Never sneak up on a ninja or else you'd face a physical reaction like the one Ino was about to dish out. Though the pale-skinned boy merely picked up a palm as he caught Ino's fist in his hand and smiled at her. Sorry about scaring you. Ino calmed down at that as she took a good look at the pale boy in front of her. Why is his skin so white? Does he never get any sun? Thought Ino as she then looked up at his smiling face. And that smile is so forced. It looks downright creepy. Ino then turned her head to Naruto to only see him smiling at her. Sai, this is Ino. Ino-chan, that's Sai. I'll check on him in a few days. Thanks, Ino-chan. Naruto then vanished from Ino's shop in a shunshin before the platinum blonde could respond. Darn it. I now know what's going on, thought Ino, blowing out air that lifted her bang as it just fell back in place. These are those Rudambu. Those kids Danzo had turned mindless soldiers according to Dad. Naruto's been placing them all over Konoha and now we have one. Why'd you let this happen, Two-chan? Here of all places? Yamanaka-san, Naruto-san attempted to leave with those flowers for Yujito-san without paying. However, I managed to procure his wallet. Should I grab the funds necessary? Questioned Sai as Ino grinned deviously. Be sure to leave a nice tip as well, said Ino as Sai merely nodded his head and took the money from Naruto's wallet and placed it in the register. Ino nodded her head before patting Sai on the back. This might just work out. Welcome to the shop, Sai. Chapter 31, The End. There are moments, in life, where something was hard to do. So difficult at the time. Then something comes along later and makes that something seem like a cakewalk. Those moments in life could come often or at a seldom pace. Either way, they usually turn up eventually. This was Naruto and Yujito's current mood. All that other stuff is nothing. I don't know what I had to complain about before, said a battered and bruised Naruto. Yujito had her own injuries as she stood next to him. How does someone like Madara exist? I don't know. I used to say the same about you as a shinobi. There's no way. Yes, way. You're, honestly, like him. He's a full-grown man though. You're not even in your prime. This made sense. Naruto was incredibly strong. The number of people stronger than Naruto could be counted on one hand. That hand would likely have all 5 fingers remaining. And then Madara was revived. And it showed the skill difference between the warring era and their current peaceful one. What did they go through in the past to need to attain such a level of strength? Whatever it was had to be accompanied with a lot of pain and suffering, said Naruto, getting Yujito to nod. Naruto grit his teeth when he felt Madara build more chakra. Senpo, Suetun, Kyodai Tsunami, Sage Art, Water Style, Giant Tsunami. Naruto spewed out a massive amount of water. The water splashed out into a titanic wave that blocked Madara's fire jutsu. The wave didn't stop there and continued to crash into the man who sent out the fire. The water continued to pile off the mountain they were on before the blue silhouette of Madara Susanoo came back into view. Sage Mode, what an ability. The speed and strength boosts are impressive. You managed to knock my Susanoo back a few steps, said Madara, completely unharmed inside his Susanoo. The same secret ability as Hashirama. Even though I harm you, your wounds regenerate immediately. The kit inside you probably aids that healing even further. Madara looked at Yujito and could see she was running low on stamina. She can't keep up with the likes of us. We are both bred from the original user of chakra. You can't keep protecting her in this battle or you'll die. Naruto wanted to rebuttal but Yujito stopped him. He's right, Naruto-kun. You're getting hurt a lot trying to keep me from getting hurt. Naruto turned to the girl. He saw concerned eyes from his lover. Your regeneration isn't safe with prolonged use. You'll cut your lifespan short. That's what Tsunade-sama said, isn't it? Yes, cells can only replace themselves a limited number of times. Yujido turned to Madara angrily. Why? What is this all for? Why are you collecting all of the bijou? Questioned a frustrated Yujido. Her outburst surprised Madara as she seemed pretty docile until now. None of this makes any sense. You were one of the ones who passed out the bijou in the Shinobi Wars era. Why take them back now when you could have kept them all? That was Hashirama's doing and I agreed, then. This is now and I need the bijou for my Eye of the Moon plan. Madara closed his eyes as he continued. I'm going to trap everyone in a dream world. No more wars. No more bickering. No more feuding. Just a dream. Yujito was stopped from responding by Naruto. He grabbed her hand and got her to look at him. No need to worry about all of that talking, Yugi-chan. How would talking solve anything? Questioned Naruto before turning to Madara. All of it is a waste of breath and time. We won't convince him. He's been planning this for a while. There's no reneging possible for him at this point. Yujito felt Naruto's chakra ramp up while he spoke. His Jinchuriki cloak was as vibrant as it had ever been. Let's just kick his ass. He can't complete his plan when he's 6 feet under. And I'll make sure he doesn't come back this time. Yujito liked that plan. The white necklace around her neck began to glow and pulsate. It was pulsing like a rapidly beating heart. Yujito's chakra cloak grew stronger and more lively with each pulse. The girl smiled realizing what Naruto was doing. This is what the Kyuubi's chakra feels like, said Yujito feeling the influx of Kurama's chakra. Yujito felt like she could jump to the moon. I never would have guessed it was this potent. It's amazing. Thank you. I know how awesome I am but, it's nice to know other people do too, said Kurama with a grin. Kurama's chakra is nice, kitten. However, said the Nibi noticing Naruto's chakra. The bijou felt its calming effect. Naruto-kun's chakra just makes you feel good. As if everything is going to go right. You know it, said Naruto before he let go of Yujito's hand. Hands in the ram seal, Naruto turned to Madara. Can I get an assist, my love? You never have to ask. Yujito's hands were in the tiger seal. Wind and fire combined to blast Madara. The battle was on and renewed. Hokage Tower, same time. Nothing yet on Naruto? Nothing. We sent a messenger hawk to Kumogakure, the Umbu have been signaling him through his tattoo, and even the toad we sent out hasn't returned. He's not dead if his Umbu tattoo still resonates. And the hawk may have been impeded in its trip, said Tsunade nervously chewing her thumb. At least we know he's alive. If the hawk hasn't returned then something is going on in Kumo. And for him to not answer the tattoo nor the toad, he must be in a battle. He is. Tsunade turned and saw Itachi appear in a flock of crows. Sasuke was with him and had a stern look on his face. And he may need assistance? Root Umbu in Kumogakure has confirmed it. Uchiha Madara is alive and fighting Naruto. Tsunade and Sakura's eyes widened at the information from Sasuke. The Kage took a seat immediately. She wasn't sure her legs would support her. Uchiha Madara was alive? How is that possible? Itachi answered the Kage. The leader of Akatsuki is a user of the Rinnegan. An eye with power over life and death. It is plausible that that is the cause of Madara's reincarnation. How fast could we get to Kumogakure? Questioned Tsunade even though she knew the answer. We won't make it in time to help him since he's already in battle. We have to trust that he can handle himself, said Sasuke before frowning. I'm mad I won't be there to see him go all out. Or that I can't take on that relic myself. Dead people should stay dead. Sasuke-kun's right, Tsunade-sama. Naruto is powerful, said Sakura trying to somewhat keep it together. Sakura was a history buff and knew who Uchiha Madara was. However, she had faith in her blonde teammate. He created a 1,000-tailed fox in Amigakure that could wipe out a village with ease. He'll be fine. The optimism of Sasuke and Sakura was necessary. They were ignorant on a few things though. They didn't know the full might of Uchiha Madara like Tsunade and Itachi did. The two of them wouldn't say anything though. They would hope that all went well. Naruto and Yujito versus Madara. It's futile. If you can't even break through this version of Susanoo, you can't hope to win, said Madara after taking the powerful Fire-Wind combo. He allowed it to hit him to show their inferiority. Perhaps I spoke too soon about you, Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Maybe you aren't worthy? We weren't trying to best your Susanoo. We only wanted to block your view for a second. Madara felt a branch wrap around his arm. Coming from underneath Susanoo, smart, thought Madara before being yanked and slung out of his Susanoo. Slung directly at Naruto. He's faced a Mangekyo Sharingan before. Naruto threw a jab at Madara. The Uchiha managed to flip in midair and land a few feet in front of Naruto before blocking. Madara blocked the jab thrown by Naruto before moving his arm down to block the knee sent to his side. You should be breaking his arms with the force of your Sage Mode and my chakra, said Kurama as Naruto threw out a pair of kicks that were also blocked. He absorbed the Nibi's chakra and uses it to reinforce his defense. Are you admiring him? Thought Naruto before speeding up his strikes and thrusting a palm at Madara's stomach. Naruto formed a Rasengan as it struck true. No way. It's useless the way you're fighting. He can handle the influx of Sage chakra from your using, said Kurama as Naruto's Rasengan was absorbed by Madara. The man's Rinnegan was a problem for sure. Ninjutsu was practically worthless. I do know one way that you can fight him. Let me hear it, thought Naruto before dodging a kick. You fight well. Your taijutsu is impressive and your timing is sharp, said Madara continuing to strike at Naruto. The Kyuubi's chakra let him outpace the Uchiha. Unfortunately for you, I can use your chakra against you. Madara charged up his own Bijou cloak. Naruto wasn't prepared for the speed increase. Naruto's block was late as Madara's punch nearly caved in his chest. He was sent skidding back from the blow before dropping to a knee. Yujito landed next to Naruto and checked on him. Madara crossed his arms in disappointment. If this is the extent of your power, you should surrender now. Madara's Susanoo made its way back to protect him once more. You got the plan? Questioned Kurama as Naruto nodded his head. Yujito heard everything as well through the link they still shared. Naruto let loose a breath before placing his hands together. Give him hell. Senpo, Mokuton, Seigo no Jukai Koten, Sage Mode, Wood Style, Final Nativity of a World of Trees. The ground rumbled for a split second. The entire mountain was swallowed whole by a slew of gargantuan trees. The trees bloomed instantaneously and everywhere on the mountain. An area of a square kilometer was covered in nothing but trees. You have techniques like this still? Naruto and Yujito stood safely atop the forest. She huffed indignantly, realizing something. Our spars literally mean nothing. You beat me fair and square, Yugi-chan. Don't get down on yourself. I have nothing in my arsenal that can beat this. I can't even beat the fox from Amigakure. How strong are you? This is getting out of hand. Naruto smiled at his girlfriend's words. His smile disappeared immediately as Yujito's jaw dropped. His Susanoo is massive. Kurama, so that's what you meant, thought Naruto looking at the mountain-tall Susanoo Madara manifested. Yes, the final version. The true Susanoo? That's what that feels like, thought Naruto, commenting how he was usually the one to show superpowered techniques. It felt weird to witness them. I've been doing this to people. Yes, this was one of the first techniques that I considered close to my power, said Kurama before adding. And of course the one you created. You may want to use it now. You really are something this generation should be proud of, said Madara with bruises and cuts across his body. The quick spawning of the trees battered him around quite a bit. Hashirama would be proud of what you became. And to make me use this jutsu, I'm proud as well. Glad I could impress. Naruto-kun, you need to make that senbi. We can't hope to contend with that without it, thought Yujito through their link. I need a little bit of time. I can't send Sage Jutsu after Sage Jutsu like that. I'll run out, won't be able to enter it for some time, thought Naruto in reply as he bit his thumb. Just got to hold him off for a bit. You'll need more or this fight is over, said Madara as his Susanoo let a slash go that cut through the mountains. The ease he did this with was frightening. The Uchiha watched Naruto simply summon a very familiar scroll. The Scroll of Seals? The scroll was kicked open. Jutting past a few jutsu, the scroll stopped at a particularly large seal that Naruto slammed his hand on. Mokuton Fuinshiki, Sealing Ceremony of Wood Style, said Naruto as the seal spread glowed before expanding rapidly. Madara and Yujito both watched with amazement as the seal spread perfectly over the trees Naruto created. A heavenly glow preceded a bright flash. When the light died down, Madara, Naruto, and Yujito were all standing on a barren field. The field was void of anything that was within the seal radius. A Fuinjutsu that seals chakra techniques and alters the battlefield. A flatter ground helps Mokuton users more than a mountain would, said Madara with a chuckle. And you remove my Susanoo without facing its wrath? Naruto and Yujito stood silently before seeing Madara raise an eyebrow in confusion. As you said, the Fuinjutsu seals chakra techniques. You can't use Susanoo as long as this seal remains active. Yujito smirked hearing this. Naruto shut down one of Madara's most powerful abilities. I can't use any form of Jukai Koten, but it's a small price to pay to get rid of Susanoo. I'm more and more impressed with every interaction, said Madara as the couple sprinted at him. Playtime is over. Rinbo, Hengoku, Wheel Grave, Border Jail. Naruto moved faster than Yujito. Thus, he arrived first and was inches away from dislocating Madara's jaw. Then he was hit by an invisible force. The same happened with Yujito as the two of them were sent tumbling backward. Anybody got the number of that train? Questioned a loopy Naruto. He regained his bearings before looking at the Uchiha. Nagato could do the same. However, that felt like I got punched in the face only. It wasn't a wall like Nagato's? Naruto's eyes widened when he was grabbed. A restrictive full Nelson had Naruto stuck fast. However, there was no one behind him. Madara nodded before placing his hand on the ground. Kuchios, summoning. An enormous humanoid statue rose from the ground behind Madara. That's it. This is what Sasuke was talking about back then. The Geto Mazo, the shell of the Jubi. It needs our chakra to fully form. We have to get out of here. Naruto began to struggle against the force that was holding him. Whatever is holding us is strong. I can't move. Naruto felt the same as Yujito. I'll be taking your bijou, said Madara as the mouth of the statue glowed. 2 large chains came flying out at the 2 Jinchuriki. The chains wrapped tightly around their necks. There's no use struggling. Once I latch on, I never let go. Senpo, Myojinmen, Sage Art, Gate of the Great God, said Naruto behind Madara. Madara was crushed and held firm by 3 overlapping and large torii. The torii didn't stop at Madara as they also landed around the neck of the statue and on its ankles, wrists, and midsection. That was too easy. All of you Senjus are the same, said Madara behind Naruto with his arms crossed. The same little tricks with clones. It's too bad you didn't get her out of there as well. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw the demonic chain still around Yujito's neck. The gates should have stopped the statue's chakra. How is it still active? Asked Naruto seeing the silhouette of the Nibi forming out of Yujito. Her bijou was being removed. No, not again. As I said, I never let go. The Nibi was getting more and more pulled away from Yujito. Madara's eyebrow rose as he saw Naruto vanish in a shunshin that looked more like teleporting. Seems dire situations brought out the best in him. Naruto-kun. Yugi-chan. The Nibi left Yujito completely. Naruto caught the falling girl, dropping to his knees, and held her in his arms as he saw her eyes beginning to close. I won't lose you. Madara looked at Naruto holding the dying girl. His Sharingan picked up on something troubling. Looking at the Geto Mazo, Madara saw vines wrapped around it. Those vines were connected to Naruto. He's stealing the Geto's chakra and funneling it to the girl, thought Madara before he channeled his chakra. Rinbo, Hengoku, Wheel Grave, Border Jail. Naruto's head snapped up in surprise. Before Madara's jutsu could get to him, Naruto vanished with Yujito. Madara saw them disappear and realized that it wasn't a shunshin. No, it was something more troubling. Seems he learned a new trick, thought Madara as there was no trace of Naruto anywhere. Mount Mayaboku, moments earlier. Okay, I think I got it this time. Check it, said a clone Naruto in front of 6 other clones. The clone was looking directly at a piece of paper 5 feet from him that had a seal formula on it. Hiration, Flying Thunder God. The surrounding clones watched the clone vanish and land above the paper as their eyes widened. Not because the clone did the jutsu right. No, the clone appeared in 2 pieces. The clone screamed in agonizing pain before it dispelled in a poof of smoke. Ouch, that looked so bad. An easy fix, he didn't draw this curve right, said the clone showing the others. They all nodded their heads in approval. The clone was absolutely correct and the jutsu would work properly this time. A fist then dispelled that clone in a poof of smoke. Another clone caught the paper in his hand after dispelling its identical. I'm telling the original that I did this. Anyone that has a problem with that can die as he did, said the clone in a hostile tone. The other clones looked at him like he was stupid. You realize you dispelled him, right? His memories went to Naruto. He already knows. The original appeared right after. The clones all jumped immediately at the surprise arrival. Holy crap, boss. You scared us. We didn't think you were coming so fast, said the clone before noticing the wounds that were healing on Naruto. The clone gasped when it noticed the unconscious Yujito in his hands. Yugi-chan. What happened? She's fine, guys. And thank you, you really saved us, said Naruto before the clones saluted him. They promptly dispelled as Naruto turned back to Yujito. You're going to be fine, Yugi-chan. You have to be fine. The girl will live. Your improvisation worked like a charm. Naruto wasn't even startled by the voice or presence behind him. He was too focused on Yujito. Kurama-kun, can you please have him turn toward me? I have something to tell him. Naruto, turn around, said Kurama in a voice that left it not up for debate. This is the Sage of 6 Paths. Naruto stood with Yujito in his arms as he turned to see a man floating in the air in a lotus position. The man was tall and skinny and had deep wrinkles on his face showing his elderly age. He had spiky, shoulder-length, pale red hair with a chin-length braid hanging in front of his left ear. He had a long goatee that tapered all the way down to his waist and horn-like protrusions on his forehead. His eyes were the daunting Rinnegan and in the middle of his forehead was another Rinnegan, though red in color. On his right palm was a light-colored circle and on his left palm was a dark-colored crescent moon. He wore a white, full-length kimono with a pattern of 6 black magatamas around a high collar, beneath which he wore a necklace that was also made up of 6 black magatamas. On the back of his kimono was a larger Rinnegan marking with a pattern of 9 magatamas arranged in 3 rows of 3 beneath it. "It is a pleasure to meet you, Sage of 6 Paths. Please, call me Hagoromo." Naruto nodded before turning and walking away. "You seem like a patient man. I will tend to Yugi-chan first and come back. I'm sure you understand." The sage smiled and nodded his head. "I will be here waiting," said the sage, watching Naruto walk away. "You don't know what you've done, but you have to be the one to do this." Konoha, next day. "So, how long has this been going?" "Since he came back," said Tsunade as another tremble violently shook the area. Tsunade's sake cup fell off her desk during it. Tsunade caught the cup and put it back on the table. "This is the 9th time I've had to catch this damn cup." Naruto arrived back in Konoha the next day after his run-in with Madara. Since arriving, he'd been in the Forest of Death. The Forest of Death was the site of his Chunin exams and held numerous dangerous insects and animals in it. Naruto was tearing through them all as he prepped for Madara's imminent arrival. There was no way the Uchiha wasn't coming. Can someone go stop him? It may get out of hand, Tsunade-sama. He's causing a constant earthquake. We've tried. The entirety of your class, the rookie 9, went in there. Well, not Shikamaru. Naruto chewed the rest up and spat them back out, said Tsunade before stopping Sakura. Yes, even Sasuke couldn't stop him. Itachi went in there and went longer than everyone else. He came back tired as Naruto trumped him due to chakra supply differences. He was our best bet really. Well, you're the Hokage. Maybe you can get him to stop. Tsunade gave her an incredulous look. Right, bad joke. However, there are tons of complaints from the civilians. We have to do something. Letting out a sigh, Tsunade stood up. Fine, I'll go, said Tsunade walking out of her office to the Forest of Death. Forest of Death. The tremors grew stronger the closer you got to the Forest of Death. It felt like a full-fledged earthquake. Tsunade stood with a megaphone as she shook her head. Looking behind her, there were dozens of shinobi from all over Konoha. They were ready to stop Naruto at all costs. They knew he wouldn't kill them, but the earthquakes didn't make their faith in that aspect assured. I have gotten numerous complaints, Naruto. Despite how far you are from the village, it's still causing a disturbance, said Tsunade through the megaphone. I'm giving you to the count of 10 to stop or I'll have to use force to stop you. Tsunade placed the megaphone down as the tremors continued despite her words. Tsunade was counting to 10 in her head. She went slower and slower as she got closer to 10. She really didn't want to have a squadron of shinobi in the hospital for failing to stop a comrade. Naruto was on a clear mission and honestly, she was all for letting him do whatever he needed. However, she'd reached 10 in her count. Tsunade-sama, do we have to? Asked one of the shinobi behind Tsunade. It seems we must. Alright, everyone ready. The ninjas were not ready. Wait, hold on, shouted an Inazaka clan member. Hope was on the man's face as the other Inazakas smelled the same thing. We have a ringer, Tsunade-sama. A ringer? Questioned Tsunade before her question was answered. Another blonde landed next to her quiet as a feather. I'm happy you woke up. I am too. I assume that's Naruto-kun over there. Who else could it be? Goosebumps were visible on Yujito's skin. She felt Naruto's presence the moment she woke up. It was dominating the entirety of Konoha and likely for a large radius outside of it. Yujito's excitement was palpable as she pointed to the forest. May I, Hokage-sama? Sure, you're probably our best bet. Yujito vanished in a blur. The group of Konoha shinobi all stood patiently waiting. A few more seconds passed by before the tremor ceased. Naruto's chakra died down as the oppressive feeling in the air vanished. Tsunade smiled as the shinobi behind her cheered in relief. Thank you all for your help. You can go back to whatever you were doing and will be paid accordingly. The group nodded and began getting back to their normal lives. All but one member of the Inazaka clan. Yes. Not to speculate but, it's hard not to, said the Inazaka as he looked at the forest. Naruto-san is a fox and Yujito is a cat by way of their bijus. Both of which release pheromones and Naruto-san was releasing a ton. That's why Hana and the other female members didn't come. They were riled up since we're so sensitive to them. Even you probably feel that way on a lesser scale? What does that have to do with anything? The woman had an idea. Yujito-san was the same as all of our female Inazakas. She was drawn here because of Naruto's alpha presence. And when she arrived, her body began letting off her own pheromones in preparation. That only happens when it's time to mate. Sakura put a hand to her mouth as Tsunade nodded her head. It was exactly what she figured. The ninja grinned then bid his Hokage farewell. Well, at least it stopped the tremors. Tsunade jinxed it as the tremors started back up. Smaller than before but, there was no chakra output. Damn, I didn't know the Gaki was that good. You should have been pursuing him back in the day, Sakura. He's probably giving it to her how she wants it, and you know his stamina is dash. Tsunade-sama, said Sakura, cutting off her sensei as her face heated up. It was then Sakura realized how hot her body felt. We need to get out of here. Clearly, Inazaka-san was right about that pheromone thing. I can't concentrate. Naruto on the brain? Questioned Tsunade, seemingly immune to the effects. I bet he's an animal too. He'd probably wear you out and leave you out of commission for days. You probably wouldn't walk the same way again. I heard he was packing a monster. Tsunade smiled as the flustered girl vanished in a shunshin. Tsunade then turned to a tree and walked over to it. Come on out, Jiraiya. I know you're there. Jiraiya materialized with a sour look on his face. You always know when I'm here, said Jiraiya as he stood up to look at Tsunade. It's not like I was going to peek on the gaki or anything. Why not? Questioned Tsunade as Jiraiya's eyes widened. Tsunade pulled a camera from out of her kimono as she smirked. I plan to film it and make money off it. Let's go. Jiraiya smirked back before he held up a hand to stop Tsunade. Two things. 1. How'd you pull that camera out from your chest and not have it visible through your shirt? And 2. Can I get a whiff of that thing? Jiraiya went sailing away after Tsunade punched him. The busty Kage shook her head before heading into the forest. The Naruto and Yujito sex tape would make her millions. The next day, Konoha main gate. That's got to be some kind of record. 7 hours? My goodness, said Enko as she stood at the gate. Gaki is my hero. I need something like that in my life. A laugh came from the group as Naruto blushed at the violet-haired Kunoichi's remarks. His blush covered his face when Yujito chimed in. Feel free to join next time, said Yujito as Enko's eyes widened at that. Enko smirked before the entire group noticed Naruto perk up. The group consisting of Sasuke, Itachi, Sakura, Kakashi, Yujito, Tsunade, and Jiraiya all looked at Naruto as the Kyuubi Jinchuriki nodded. Enko, knowing this wasn't a fight she could take part in, wished the group good luck before she got out of range. Naruto stood in front of the group in his Umbu uniform sans his mask. Over the outfit, he wore an orange cloak that had black flames at the bottom of it. And on the back of his waist sat the scroll of seals. Yujito stood next to Naruto as she wore her normal attire with metal bracers on her forearms and a gray flak jacket like Naruto's Umbu one. The two stood holding hands as the rest of the contingent was behind them. It's time, said Naruto as a vortex opened up in front of them. Appearing from the vortex were Tobi, Zetsu, Kisame, and Madara. Tobi, Zetsu, and Kisame all looked the same while Madara added the red-plated armor from his days as a shinobi. The glow of Madara's Rinnegan was daunting. He only looked at Naruto and disregarded everyone else. 4 against 8. Seems we're outnumbered, said Zetsu before smiling. Let's even this up a bit. From the horizon and the forest outlining Konoha, hundreds upon hundreds of clones of Zetsu appeared. They were walking toward Konoha as they all had smirks on their faces. There's so many of them, said Sakura, gasping at the number of white Zetsu clones. Sakura watched as a purple shroud of chakra formed around Sasuke into that of a humanoid being. Sasuke-kun. I got them, said Sasuke as he jumped over the group along with Jiraiya to handle the Zetsu clones. Along with them were dozens of Konoha's root. No mercy, all of them die today. Itachi-san, said Kisame as Itachi looked at the swordsman. The ex-partners mirrored each other as they sprinted to the west. Kakashi turned right as Tobi latched onto him and they both vanished in a vortex. Yujito squeezed Naruto's hand as he squeezed it back reassuringly. Yujito vanished as she landed in front of the halfway submerged Zetsu. Hi, said Yujito before she decked the plant man with a punch that knocked him out of the ground and dozens of feet backward. Yujito smiled as she followed the Akatsuki spy. Madara stood alone with his arms crossed as he continued to look at Naruto. Neither of them broke eye contact the entire time. Tsunade and Sakura stood behind Naruto as the air grew heavy. The chakra, it's suffocating, said Sakura, feeling weak. Even Tsunade was feeling out of place at the moment. A feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. This is exactly how Gigi used to be when he got serious, thought Tsunade before seeing Naruto appear in front of Madara. A shockwave sounded out from the clash of the two as the fight was on. The end was near. Omake, assimilating the roots, Part 2. How did you leave your wallet? Questioned Yujito, smiling giddily. She smelled the flowers Naruto gave her after asking her question. She was sitting next to Naruto as they ate lunch at a dango restaurant. And he was having an issue paying. I had it, I thought, said Naruto as Yujito looked at her boyfriend. Naruto smirked before biting his thumb and placing it on the table. A poof of smoke went off before Naruto's wallet appeared as he just smiled. Forgot I could do that. Toad wallet, Toad summoner. Erosenin is a genius. It looks a little light, Naruto-kun. Did you try to skate on Ino-chan again? Questioned Yujito as Naruto smiled sheepishly. Naruto paid the tab, leaving a tip before he and Yujito exited the small dango stand. So where are we headed now, Naruto-kun? Yujito yelped as she was scooped up by Naruto. She was the recipient of a kiss that lingered for a long while. The kiss ended and she opened her eyes to see Naruto smiling at her. Well, it's our anniversary, Yugi-chan. So, let's take a special way to our next destination, said Naruto as Yujito noticed they were on a boat. A boat that was shaped like a toad with a man at the helm of it for steering. Care to take a ride? My, how nice. Yujito was set the beautiful Jinchuriki down next to him. He motioned for their driver to go ahead. The minutes passed as the Jinchuriki couple sat together side by side in blissful silence. Naruto had his arm around Yujito as they rode through Konoha. That silence ended however when their driver suddenly picked up the large wooden pole he was using to steer and used it to cleanly knock out the guy walking toward them on the river bank. The man was knocked unconscious into the river as along with it were the chocolate-covered strawberries he was holding. I apologize, Naruto-sama. I thought he was trying to harm you and Lady Yujito. I didn't notice the strawberries until it was too late, said the driver in a monotone voice that Yujito recognized. He's a rude umbu? Yeah, Yugi-chan. I guess I should have paid for the real driver rather than getting free labor from the rude umbu, said Naruto, sad that he lost the 2,000 ryo he spent on those strawberries. Ah well. It's just the ride and strawberries anyway. We still have our spa and dinner left. No big deal. And the guitarist, said Yujito as another man dropped into the riverbank holding a guitar. Umbu keeps knocking people out. I truly don't mean this, Naruto-sama. It's a reflex. Eventually arriving at the closest spot near the spa, Naruto thanked the root umbu before carrying his girlfriend to their next activity. Oh, Naruto-kun and Yujito-chan. So good to see you both again, said the woman behind the corner as she watched the blondes walk to her. Happy anniversary. We're happy you chose to spend it with us. The couple's massage like you requested, correct? Yes. Of course, said Naruto before hearing a scream come from the back. Ah, that's the new guy that was placed here. He's still a little rough around the edges and well, said the woman as Naruto watched a man getting carried out on a stretcher. That's his fifth one sent to the hospital. Naruto heard another scream as the woman continued smiling. All the masseurs are root umbu, aren't they? Questioned Naruto as the woman nodded her head. Free labor. Without employee expenses, our profit margin is booming. And everyone signs a waiver when arriving, said the woman before motioning for Naruto and Yujito to follow her. More screams continued to go off around the spa as Yujito looked up at Naruto. No worries, the couple's massage is solely you two. No root umbu for you. It's your job to govern the root umbu and their placement. You can't allow this to keep happening, said Yujito as Naruto frowned. You're right, but it's our anniversary. The only reason I dropped Sai off personally was to get you flowers, said Naruto as another scream sounded off. It can wait anyway. We don't have to worry about them for a little while. Naruto then felt a chakra spike before a man went careening through a room and out the window. Naruto watched as a female walked out of the room before turning to Naruto. I have no clue what a happy ending is, Naruto-sama, but he tried to touch me and dash. Reflex, I gotcha, said Naruto before letting out a sigh. Let's go see Ba-chan. The day kept getting worse and worse. Chapter 32, The End 2. Tsunade-sama. Yes, Sakura. This can't be real. Humans can't do things like this, can they? I've seen several generations Sakura. And out of those, I had only seen two who could. Gigi and Sensei, said Tsunade, watching the fight before her. Shockwave after shockwave occurred between Naruto and Madara as they were going blow for blow at the moment. It's why they considered them both a god of shinobi. I'm starting to see why Madara was considered Gigi's equal. And why they call Naruto Hashirama's heir. He fights almost like him. Tsunade and Sakura watched Naruto belt Madara backward with a roundhouse. The Jinchuriki ate an up kick when he tried to press his advantage. I don't see an opportunity to jump in, not on this fight, said Sakura, looking down some to see the other battles going on. There probably won't be. But if there is, we have to make sure we take it. We're medics, but you remember rule number 4? Said Tsunade, getting a nod from Sakura. Tsunade then covered up as she warned Sakura. Here comes another shockwave. A mighty wind billowed from the last exchange as it nearly blew Sakura off her feet. Having slid back several feet, Sakura only shook her head. It is like watching gods? Said Sakura, hair blowing from the wind whipping. I'm not calling Naruto a god of shinobi after this. Tsunade just smiled as she watched Naruto and Madara simultaneously hold a hand seal. Naruto v Madara. Katan, Goka Mekyaku, Fire Style, Great Fire Annihilation. Senpo, Kyodai Tsunami, Sage Art, Giant Tsunami. Madara's widespread fire was met equally by Naruto's water wave. The two met head-on as steam rose from the collision. Being enhanced by nature and also naturally stronger than fire, Naruto's jutsu pressed on and forced Madara to leap backward to avoid it. Rinnegan scanning for the real Naruto, Madara wasn't disappointed when he fell to the small pool Naruto created and was met with more taijutsu. Madara brought his forearm up to block the Shunshin appearance of Naruto's foot that was way too easy to stop. Madara's eyes hardened, and he palm thrust the boy back just as he detonated in midair. That seal is still active. I can't use Susanoo, thought Madara, impressed with the senju in front of him. His most powerful technique rendered obsolete. He did say as long as it stays active, I couldn't. But it also means he can't use that forest technique. Madara belted Naruto with a kick to the ribs after several exchanges before elbowing the Jinchuriki in the side of the head. Naruto stumbled across the soaked plains head over heels from the elbow while Madara fluttered through several more hand seals. You're trivial compared to Hashirama. Given time, you may have surpassed him. Maybe, said Madara. Another explosive fireblast shot from the man's mouth connected with the still rumbling Naruto. Too bad time isn't what you have, dash. You talk too much? Madara's eyes widened at Naruto being behind him. And his voice came with a power drill-like buzz. Senpo, Rasenjari, Sage Art, Spiraling Spear, said Naruto, drilling the Rasengan variant into Madara's spine. Naruto hit Madara cleanly, but he sensed something strange just before hitting the legendary Uchiha. Something that irked him. You substituted. With yourself. Is that what that limbo jutsu does? Madara stood several dozen feet before Naruto as he let out an internal sigh of relief. That one was too close for comfort. Extremely too close. His misdirections with clones are unimaginably perfect. Even fooling my eyes. Thought Madara, closing his right eye as he thought that. He'd barely escaped that Rasengan by substituting with the limbo body produced by his eyes. But now he knows that I'm creating clone versions of me. He couldn't do that before. Madara watched Naruto's jutsu cone out through the forest before turning his eyes back to the boy himself. Naruto's sage markings were a deep red as he clapped his hands together. Madara prepped for another attack from the buildup of dense chakra, watching Naruto crater the ground with it. The deep red markings across Naruto's face lightened up considerably. He then just stood up as a small tree sprouted behind him. A sapling? Questioned Madara, looking at the small tree situated behind Naruto. It honestly looked like a weed. Then Madara's Rinnegan picked up on the actual chakra permeating from the small vegetation. It's absorbing nature energy? Madara needed to duck as Naruto appeared before him once again. That Shunshin speed was immense. Dodging several punches, Madara caught Naruto's arm before tossing him back to his tree. Madara let loose another fire jutsu and couldn't see Naruto smile as he flipped and landed just behind his tree. Madara ended his torrential fire to check the damage done. What he saw got his eyes to widen. The tree absorbed the fire jutsu with ease, almost like how his Predapath would. Thanks, said Naruto, just as he came into view from the fire being collected by his tree, which was noticeably taller now. This tree will be the end of him. The tree continued to grow slowly, centimeter by centimeter. Madara eyed the chakra continuously pouring into the ever-growing tree before narrowing his eyes at Naruto. Naruto returned the gaze unyielding at the Uchiha. I can't hit him. He can't hit me. We match ninjutsu for ninjutsu. And any genjutsu I have tried or could, he'd break immediately, thought Madara, seeing Naruto build up the chakra for another Shunshin. Madara didn't want another waste of time fistfight. It was time to end this. No despair, boy. Kuchios. Naruto appeared before Madara before seeing the ground crack beneath him. Naruto jumped high into the air and watched a massive hand come out of the ground. Naruto guided himself back to his tree with a wind burst to dodge the hand trying to grab him. Naruto saw a massive creature begin to reveal itself from the ground beneath Madara the whole way back. Jubi. So that's what it looks like. No. It is incomplete. For now. Probably needs me to revive fully, said Kurama in Naruto's head just as the Jubi roared. Going to need to protect that tree with that if you ever hope to use it fully. Yeah, said Naruto in reply before clapping his hands together. The Jubi roared once more at Naruto before being commanded by Madara to attack him. Madara watched the tree Naruto made shrink back to its standard size before tremors were felt. Madara's Rinnegan widened in what looked like excitement more than shock as he grinned heavily. He is like Hashirama. Senpo, Mokutan, Shin Sasenbi, Sage Art, Mokutan, true several thousand tales, said Naruto as a massive claw reached out of the ground. Yujido v Black Zetsu. You should be dead, said Black Zetsu, sending large trees at the evasive Kunoichi. Madara ripped the nibi out of you. Any Jinchuriki that loses its bija dies. I guess I got lucky, said Yujido, a Cheshire grin coming to her face. She was making it look like child's play the way she glided through Zetsu's spawning of trees, all the while advancing toward him like she was simply walking. Zetsu upped the number of trees, and their size as Yujito's smile only widened. "You're not Naruto-kun. Compared to him, this is like fighting a genin," said Yujito, a shunshin as she landed before Zetsu once more. Zetsu attempted to dodge but only caught the heel of Yujito's sandal that lifted him upward. "This is going to be so much fun." "Damn girl," said Black Zetsu, landing before forcing more trees to attack Yujito. Her smile never dropped at all despite the foliage sent her way. "I have to make sure I'm back to Madara's when he starts the Moon's Eye plan. I can't keep mother waiting." Zetsu kept sending tree after tree, even noticing a bright blue light shine for a second before disappearing. It disappeared due to the giant constant tree creation from Zetsu before he saw it reappear in the blink of an eye. Especially considering the light ripped right through his body and cut him in half. "Katan, Guka, fire style, hellfire," said Yujito, watching the now bifurcated Zetsu with her grin growing. "How beautiful." Jumping over to the black plant man, Yujito pulled out a slip of paper. Placing it on Zetsu, Yujito watched the seal spread before she picked up the 2 pieces of him. Vanishing in another shunshin, Yujito was off to another fight. Itachi v Kisame. Uchiha vs Swordsman. The ex-partners stood across from one another. Sharingan vs Samehada. The two would have likely caused more destruction now, but the two hadn't moved since running to this spot. Itachi was known for his impassiveness and stoic demeanor in battle. Kisame wasn't. So for the swordsman to be mirroring his counterpart, it was an eerie feeling. And that was the scene Yujito landed between. "Hey," said Yujito with a wave to Itachi and Kisame. "Hello Yujito-san," replied Itachi, still watching Kisame. "He seems mad." "He has reason to," said Itachi, turning to the girl. "Something I can help you with?" "Amaterasu." "This guy," said Yujito, watching the majestic flames spawn on Zetsu. Yujito dropped the quickly burning man to the ground before nodding her head. "Thank you. You got this?" "I do. Thank you." Yujito just nodded to Itachi before heading off to help Sasuke, Jiraiya, and root with the massive Zetsu army. Itachi and Kisame merely continued to stare at one another. Unmoving. Quiet. Until Kisame finally lunged at Itachi. "Thought we were partners." "We were. I didn't ask for much. Besides transparency," said Kisame, locked Samehada v Kunai with Itachi. "No words." "Of course. It's always no words," said Kisame, front-kicking Itachi backward. Itachi burst into crows as Kisame shook his head. "I thought I could trust you. Despite our organization. Our pasts. Our intentions. Even with that, I thought I could trust you." "You still can," said Itachi, getting Kisame to turn and cleave him in half. Itachi merely burst into more crows as his voice continued to reach Kisame. "You know that you can?" Kisame shook slightly for a few moments before shaking his head and letting loose a tidal wave of water. "No more words. Just battle." Fists would help him understand. Naruto v Madara. A massive fox stood clutched in a grasp with the incomplete Jubi. Naruto stood atop his fox's head, right behind the small tree he created. He created that fox solely to preserve that tree. What could be the endgame with that? Questioned Madara, arms crossed while he stood on the Jubi's head. Naruto watched the Jubi roar once before a titanic ball formed right in front of his face. A tailed beast ball. Well, that wouldn't be fun. And he couldn't dodge because the village was right behind him. We're fighting too close to the village, thought Naruto, internally piqued that he allowed Madara to come to him while still close to Konoha simply. Luckily though, he had a plan for that. Hope you like this one? What does he have planned? Questioned Madara, watching Naruto not move to defend the Jubi. He did see Naruto Senjutsu gathering tree shrink again before Naruto clapped his hands. Madara watched Naruto closely before he saw the clouds above parting. This boy. The next generation will always be better than the last, said Naruto, just as the head of a massive Venus flytrap descended to the earth. Madara likened it to the meteor he dropped. Only alive and coming right for him. Kudarazaka Nikishoku Butsu, Descent of the Carnivorous Buddha. Madara could only smile as the Jubi was forced to launch the Baijidama at the massive plant. The plant did expel a plume of pollen before being forced to digest the unstable ball of energy. The ball ripped through the plant before exploding in the sky with a wave. The plant dispelled, but the pollen it exuded continued to flutter to the ground. This boy isn't Hashirama. He doesn't live up to Hashirama. He is better, thought Madara, watching Naruto appear before him on the head of the Jubi. This pollen has chakra absorption properties. It's siphoning it to that tree on the fox's head. Madara locked into a battle of fists with Naruto as he stared at the young Senju. Do you believe that the next generation becomes better than the last? It is only logical, said Naruto, watching the Jubi shake irritably at the pollen covering it. You were all blindly gathering strength. Some were garnering it better than others, continued Naruto, striking at the dodging Madara. You all had your methods and teachings that you passed down. Someone was bound to get them, take them, and go further with them. I see. Your logic is sound. However, that logic doesn't exist when you've reached the pinnacle as I have. You're still out of your league despite your ability, said Madara, blocking a kick from Naruto. Madara felt his bones creak at the force. He's stronger? You compared me to Hashirama Gigi. I'm not him. And this isn't the same battle that you two had before, said Naruto, actually getting Madara to defend against him actively. Madara continued to hear his bones groan under the pressure of the strikes that he couldn't get away from. When you faced Gigi, you had the QB on your side and still lost. This time, you don't have the QB. Because, said Naruto, speeding up even faster before violently kicking Madara off the Jubi. I'm the QB. Madara heard the voice. It was the actual QB talking to him, and it explained his augmented speed and power. I'm fighting the beast, said Madara, smiling before pulling his war fan off his back. A simple wave had Naruto fly off the Jubi and blow the chakra-absorbing pollen off the beast. He wouldn't have its chakra continuously stolen. Well, bring it on. If you say so, said Naruto before a titanic Rasengan appeared in the mouth of his wooden fox. Cho Rasenho, super spiraling cannon. Naruto vanished in a shunshin to arrive before Madara as his fox, and the 10 tails went toe-to-toe. A brilliant blue beam erupted from the fox that rocked the side of the Jubi's massive frame. Madara swatted at Naruto with his fan as Naruto jumped and landed atop it. Kicking at Madara, Naruto's foot was caught as Madara gripped it tightly. Naruto had a grimace on his face at the painfully tight grip before getting snatched down into an elbow. Feeling the wind pass his head from that dodged elbow, Naruto retaliated with a punch to Madara's gut. Madara stopped the fist but still felt the impact. Senjutsu lets me add range to my attacks, said Naruto, a Rasengan pulsing in both of his hands. Substitute from this. Senpo, Rasengan, Sage Art, Rasengan Barrage. Rinbo, Hengoku. Madara attempted to do just that. For some reason, Naruto was indeed that much faster than him now. It couldn't be solely the QB giving him that boost. Regardless, Madara didn't want to find out and created 4 limbo bodies to help him. It didn't work as Naruto's sage markings turned a deep red. Rasen Senko Cho Rinbu Kozen Shiki, Spiraling Flash Super Round Howl Participate. By the time Naruto finished the name of his jutsu, 10 Rasengans had gone off, Madara and his limbo bodies were sent reeling backward, and the legendary Uchiha even got up with 2 smoky holes in his armor. You seriously need to find a better name for that. Takes way too long. He's already back on his feet. Dad's naming is awesome. And you know it, said Naruto back to his furry partner. The Senju then looked at the shook-up Uchiha before smiling. Uchiha Madara. This is the end. Madara could feel the debilitating and concussive effects of that double Rasengan to the chest, and he didn't like it. Especially considering he didn't even see Naruto move. Yet he managed to hit him twice in each of his limbo bodies twice in an instant. And now that same person was claiming that he was about to end the fight. Senpo, Shinra Bansho, Sage Art, the whole of creation. The name of my weed, said Naruto. A wood clone dropped out of the air to land next to Naruto. The clone didn't come alone, its body was the tree Naruto created earlier. I haven't perfected this to the point of using it without a clone. But who cares? Hopefully, this is the only time I have ever to use this. He can't think I'm just going to allow him to create that, said Madara, watching Naruto hold up a palm. His clone placed its hands above his as a pitch-black ball spawned. Madara struggled to stand as he glanced over at the Jubi. I need to get back to the Jubi. If I get to dash, I'm no liar, Madara. This is over, said Naruto, cutting off Madara's thoughts with his words and 9 overlapping tori that pinned Madara down. Vines sprouted around Madara that constricted him even further. There's no scheme. No escape. No nothing. You're dying, said Naruto, the pitch-black ball in his hands condensing to the size of a gumball. I'm not Gigi. He tried to save you. I'm just going to kill you. Simple as that. I'm stuck. Thought Madara, no budge at all when he tried to overpower the vines and tori. You caught me off guard when you first arrived. Plus, you could use Susanoo, continued Naruto while a green shell began to form around the black ball in his hand. I honestly thought this would be harder. But without Susanoo, you're not that scary. You're barely better than Sasuke, finished Naruto, happy with the ball in his hand. The stable green shell coating the black, unstable core was slowly expanding up Naruto's arm to cover his hand to his shoulder. A Kekai Genkai Rasengan. Kusama would be so jealous. He not only nullified my strongest technique. He kept pace with me the whole time, countered my limbo, and even cooked up this ending before my eyes can recharge for another jutsu. Thought Madara, resigning to his fate finally. Naruto was better than him. And he didn't even plan to drag it out. Efficient with extra prejudice. Not like Madara could say it wasn't unjust. He was trying to kill Naruto. Only fair the boy could do it back. But to think this was it. His over 100-year-old plan. His second life. His reaching the pinnacle by achieving the Rinnegan. All rendered obsolete by the boy, no, man that dissected him easily. Madara figured he should have put up a better fight. But like Naruto said, without Susanoo, he was practically useless. Not useless but useless in relevance to a Kyuubi Jinchuriki with Mokuton and ability to match him even when he had all his skills. It's crazy how fast that all flew through Madara's head. Because Naruto wasn't slow building up the jutsu, it had only been a few seconds. Guess this is the reflective moment dying gives before death. A death that was finally here. All that chakra the tree naturally gathered with Senjutsu, the chakra I stole from the Jubi, and mine and Kurama's own are in this. Goodbye, Madara, said Naruto, eyes flashing to Kurama's when he spoke the man's name. Senpo, Mokuton, Tengaku no Raisin Ransu, Sage Art, would release, Heavenly Spiraling Lance. The green shell and black core of Naruto's Rasengan variant sat neatly along the entirety of Naruto's right arm. When he finished his jutsu name, the lance rocketed off his arm before piercing Madara cleanly through the chest. The lance annihilated the lowest Tori Madara was trapped under before detonating and expanding to destroy the other 8. Naruto stood unflinching, watching his wood Rasengan tear apart Madara at the cellular level. It first ripped a hole from shoulder to shoulder wide through Madara's chest, but the actual detonation was shredding him into nothingness. It was a green dome that eventually turned opaque and black for a brief second. The black dome eventually faded to show nothing but a forest there. Madara's chakra signature is gone completely. Naruto's sage markings faded as he stood, breathing slightly heavy from the jutsu he just used. The sage markings on his face were barely there just as Tsunade and Sakura landed next to him. Sakura looked extremely happy, just like Tsunade, though the older woman noted that Naruto wasn't smiling. Which was weird because he just beat Madara. What's wrong, Gaki? He's still alive? The moment Naruto said that, his sage markings revitalized just as Madara's chakra signature reappeared. Naruto let out a sigh before turning to see the legendary Uchiha standing with his arms crossed and completely unscathed. Seeing both Rinnegan, Naruto narrowed his eyes. I know you used Izanagi. Why didn't you lose an eye? Questioned Naruto, watching both eyes shine ominously at him. As I said, I've reached the pinnacle, said Madara. Hidden to Naruto and everyone, a Sharingan implanted in Madara's hand closed forever. Seems it worked perfectly. Implanting that I was ingenious, Obito, and I'll have to thank you for it later. If you survive? Bachan Sakura-chan. Please get back. He nullified my seal, said Naruto, finally understanding why Madara let him kill him. I killed him, but now that I think about it, did he plan for it to happen? Because due to that, the seal in Kumo is void. Susanoo, said Madara, blue chakra construct coming to life as it fired off several beads at Naruto and the two medics. Kuchios, Rashomon, said Naruto, summoning a demonic wall to block the attack. Shifting his hands to the snake seal, Naruto turned back to Tsunade and Sakura. Don't get caught up in any of this until it's done. I won't be able to fight him while protecting you both. Tsunade and Sakura nodded before retreating to a safe distance once more. How are you doing in there, Kurama? I'm fine. Gathering Senjutsu isn't hard. Your avatar versus that will affect everyone if you don't move away from the fights or village, said Kurama, already knowing what Naruto wanted to do. Might want to get some distance before spawning it. Heh. You haven't been paying attention. The village is perfect for this, said Naruto, watching a chakra sword slice his gate in half. Neither has Madara, apparently because I used this to escape him. Used what? Questioned Kurama before seeing a Venus flytrap spawn next to Madara in his Susanoo. Seeing a familiar kunai in its mouth, Kurama smiled. Kid. You're insane. Yeah, said Naruto, switching to the ram seal. Located at 4 corners surrounding the village was an identical kunai that matched the one next to Madara. Hiration. Instantly, Madara stood in the center of Konoha. Only Konoha vanished from that spot at the exact moment Madara appeared. Madara then took notice of Naruto standing before him as the Jinchuriki clapped his hands. Inari. Madara's eyes widened at the jutsu he saw Naruto creating. How a Senju never ceased to amaze him. Forcing his own Susanoo to fully complete, Madara was giddy at the showdown about to happen. I'm impressed, boy, shouted Madara, watching an essential wood version of his full-body Susanoo form. Only it had a fox head, claws, and 9 tails swishing behind it. Senju Naruto. You truly live up to Hashirama? Shut up already, said Naruto, standing atop the massive fox's head. This ends now. Looking out at his Susenbi struggling against the Jubi, Naruto realized he needed to end this soon to go tame that monster. My final technique. Nothing else after this one, thought Naruto before smiling. An orange cloak spawned around the Inari before the avatar sped toward Madara. A flash of orange and blue occurred from the collision of Naruto's Inari and Madara's Susanoo. The actual final clash was on. Kakashi v Tobi. Panting heavily, beaten thoroughly, and downright struggling to stand up. Those three things describe the two men facing off against one another. Alone as they were, thanks to the pocket dimension they were in. You seriously don't remember Kakashi? Ha! Questioned the masked man Tobi, whose mask was broken and cracked from his fight. He looked horrendous but seemed to be catching a second wind due to his anger. How could you forget? I'm the reason you are what you are right now. What is he talking about? Questioned Kakashi in his head, beaten up just as bad though it was much harder to tell. Hard to remember when I don't know who you are. He'd been winning the exchanges thus far. You do know who I am. I gave you that Sharingan. Kakashi's eyes widened at that to see the masked man removing his mask. The right side of his face looked like a surgical replacement, but it was easy to know who the man was. Kakashi could never forget. Obito. I'd hoped you seeing my face and remembering your failures would bring some ease to my heart, said Obito before warping a shuriken at Kakashi. It only served to make me want to kill you more. Kakashi took the shuriken to the chest and slid back on his back from the force it hit him with. Obito grabbed a kunai before slowly walking to the downed man. He needed to get back to absorb the Jubi. He was going to be the one to change the world. Not Madara. But he needed to finish off his teammate first. Goodbye, Kakashi. I never liked you anyway, said Obito, kunai set to stab into Kakashi before the Uchiha heard the sound of lightning. Obito's eyes widened at the paralyzing feeling in his chest before looking at the Kakashi before him poof into smoke. The real Kakashi stood behind him with only his soul Sharingan open. Sorry, Obito. I'm not as broken up over it anymore, said Kakashi, Rikiri still sparking inside his teammate's chest. The copy ninja also had a kunai stabbed into Obito's neck for added security. Knowing that this masked man has been you the whole time makes me feel better knowing only I know and can keep the idea of you alive for future generations, continued Kakashi, feeling his friend's last moments alive coming to an end. Goodbye, Obito. Kakashi, said Obito weakly, no longer feeling the rest of his body. Had Kakashi have just stabbed him with a Rikiri, he would still be alive. But the kunai lodged into the top of his spine was perfectly placed. He shouldn't have expected less. How'd you know? Naruto. He could feel your body composition was different and told me to look out for it, said Kakashi, dropping his dead friend to the ground finally. Kakashi stood there looking at Obito's body for several moments before closing his eye finally. The Jonin said a silent prayer before Kakashi began to warp out of the pocket dimension slowly. He could mourn later. For now, he had to check in on everyone else. Jiraiya, Sasuke, and Root vs. White Zetsu Army. Jiraiya sat in a tree overlooking the battlefield as he wrote casually in his book. Before him were hundreds of shinobi attacking and fending off the massive White Zetsu army. They were outnumbered 6-1 and had no trouble beating down the plant men. Hey, Jiraiya-sama. Oh, Yujito. Done with Zetsu already? Questioned Jiraiya, watching the girl nod. Jiraiya nodded back before returning to his writing. Good. Sasuke and this Root seem to have this under control as well. How's Itachi doing? I'm not sure. I know how strong Uchiha-san is, but, said Yujito, turning back to see a massive dome of water in the distance. Kisame's chakra levels are inhuman. I hope he'll be alright. I'm sure he will. Naruto said Itachi was strong. And for that kid to call anyone strong must mean they're competent. He'll be fine, said Jiraiya before a white Zetsu clone got slung past him. I see you finished off the black one. I see you're still working on the white one. This is child's play, said Sasuke, EMS shining toward the former Jinchuriki. He was covered by a purple Susanoo that had black flames around it. You sit there. We have it under control. Will do, said Yujito, watching Sasuke jump back into the fray. Only one more person to check on then. I'm fine as well. Though I would like to see a medic. What great timing, said Yujito, turning to see Kakashi warp to a stand right behind her. She saw his ragged appearance and leaped over to get him to Tsunade and Sakura. I'll see you later, Jiraiya-sama. Don't work too hard. I won't, replied Jiraiya, casually writing still despite the war zone before him. Yujito was off to Tsunade and Sakura with the fatigued Kakashi on her back. Looking ahead, she could see Naruto and Madara facing off in a titanic clash. I'm coming, Naruto-kun. Naruto v Madara. In terms of strength, Madara's Susanoo was unparalleled. One sword strike could cleave off a mountaintop. However, Naruto's Inari was much agiler, and the 9 tails it had behind it were pretty bothersome. This boy is annoying, thought Madara, watching some of Susanu's armor fall off from the latest strike. How can he possibly compete with me? Naruto's Inari dodged several sword strikes before getting in close to the chakra warrior once more. Grabbing the wrist of the sword-wielding arm, Naruto's Inari roared before forming a massive Rasengan in its other hand. The Susanoo roared back before swatting the Rasengan away and grappling the fox avatar. This is tougher than I thought, said Naruto, feeling physically tired for the first time in a while. Hadn't felt this drained since going against Sage Mode Jiraiya and the Elder Toads. I grow tired of this stalemate, boy, spoke Madara, arms crossed as he sat in his Susanoo. This fight was getting nowhere at this point. Think I'll drop a meteor. I can sacrifice one more eye. It will get rid of him once and for all so I can focus on the 10 tails. Madara placed his hands in a seal but immediately widened his eyes. Turning to the left, Madara only saw a fist. Yujito stood inside the Susanoo and decked the legendary Uchiha with a vicious right hook. That felt so good, said Yujito, launching Madara right out of his Susanoo. Madara looked up at the girl in shock from the crater he had just formed and wondered how she even got in there. Inari absorbs chakra. Made a hole just big enough for me to sneak in. When it grabbed my wrist, thought Madara, feeling a dull throb from his chin. He was confused to see Yujito. How are you still alive? My future ex-husband does amazing things, said Yujito, getting a smile from Naruto. Ex-husband, eh? Means we have to get married first, said Naruto, thrilled Yujito was here now. It meant it was time to finish this. You trying to marry me now? Of course. You said when all this was done. And it's about to be, said Yujito, watching Madara stand. He looked none too pleased, but it didn't matter. This was already settled. You ready, Naruto-kun? Of course, said Naruto, getting pulled at the collar into a lip lock with the blonde girl after she jumped to his Inari. Several seconds went by as the girl smiled when she ended the kiss. Hee hee. Nice transfer. Thought you'd like it, replied Yujito. Madara still stood on the ground as his eyes told him the real story of that kiss. He could see Naruto and Yujito's chakra levels before the kiss. They were near identical. After, Naruto's chakra intensified to an absurd degree. It was like Yujito gave him her chakra entirely. Unseen to Madara, Yujito had a small, black obsidian moon on her left palm. Upon kissing Naruto, the moon faded away before reappearing on Naruto's left palm. The moon was directly opposite a small, diamond-white circle in his other hand. Naruto, however, didn't care about Madara's lack of knowledge of what was going on. It didn't matter. All that did was it was time to end him finally. Madara. I lied earlier. This is the end, said Naruto, holding up his right palm as a black orb formed. Madara stood in the mini crater from the punch by Yujito before feeling a chill run through his spine. The same chill happened before Hashirama killed him just as Naruto placed his other palm over the tiny orb causing it to spin unstably. No escaping it this time. Rasen Shin, spiraling truth, dash. No. Not again, shouted Madara, but it was too late. Naruto was no longer on his Inari. He was standing right behind him. He was outclassed once more by a Senju. Every time. Chibaku Tensei, planetary devastation, finished Naruto, slamming the spinning black orb into Madara's spine. Initial contact launched Madara into his Susanoo. Spinning end over end as his Susanoo provided no stop for him. The large chakra construct was warping into the sky with him nearly a mile above the ground. Large chunks of earth rushed at Madara like a magnet, crushingly packing him into a tight ball in the sky. Naruto himself looked up before seeing an enormous entity with 2 heads. One demonic and the other angelic clasped its hands in prayer directly on Madara's position. The Uchiha was done. Izanagi wouldn't save him from that. That was a technique from the Rikudo himself. Even the goddess Kagaya couldn't escape that. Sadly though, Naruto's job wasn't done. Can't ever be simple, can it? Wouldn't be easy if it was, replied Kurama in Naruto's head as the boy himself looked over at the Jubi. I hope you're ready for the stress this will put on your body. Of course I am. The ass whipping I'm going to receive after this? Not ready for that. But it's for the best, said Naruto, looking at Yujito running toward him. Hugging the girl tightly, which surprised her, Naruto looked at her before a tear fell from his eye. I love you. Naruto-kun, questioned Yujito, not understanding the tone or words. All he was about to do was kick the Jubi's ass. Was it not mindless? It should be simple for someone like him. What's wrong? Naruto said nothing before warping away in a shunshin. Yujito's hair blew from the wind kicked up by the shunshin before turning to the Jubi in the distance. Seeing it tear apart Naruto's Sasenbi finally, Yujito realized it was much powerful than she figured a rampaging beast would be. which meant, Naruto-kun. With Naruto. Naruto seemingly just appeared from his shunshin directly above the Jubi's head. The beast was roaring from finally shredding the enormous-tailed fox before it and didn't notice Naruto casually land on its head. Naruto had his eyes closed in silent prayer before placing his hands in the ram seal. Everyone in the vicinity seemed to stop what they were doing to witness what Naruto was doing. His eyes locked with Tsunade's, Jiraiya's, Kakashi's, Sasuke's before finally settling once more on Yujito's. A smile was on his face before the Jubi just warped and screamed out a roar. It looked as though the Jubi was being sucked into a black hole before only Naruto stood in its place. The Senju slowly floated down to the destroyed earth, getting looks from everyone. Naruto looked shocked for a second, staring at himself to see no changes before looking out at Yujito. Before he could say or do anything, Naruto's face cracked, seemingly like destroyed earth. His hair grew white from its sunflower blonde as he aged considerably. He was decaying rapidly. One last look at Yujito before he simply crumbled into nothingness. Everyone's eyes widened in shock from the scene before them as the wind picked up and carried the dust that once was Naruto away from them. Naruto, said Yujito softly, not understanding what just happened. Even the fight between Kisame and Itachi was put on halt as the man who slew Madara was seemingly dissolved into dust. Naruto. Chapter 33, Epilogue. The quiet sounds of water trickling were the only noises disturbing the quiet morning. The cause was Yujito as she held a watering pot over several flowers with an unreadable expression on her face. Her dark blue eyes stared blankly at the water rolling across the colorful flower petals and down into the soil below. For years. It's so hard to think that much time has passed, thought Yujito, ending her watering. Things have gotten so peaceful since that day. The beautiful woman stood before heading back into her home, a cozy home located at the top of the Hokage mountain of all things. The dream home she and Naruto talked about was finally a reality. Naruto-kun, thought Yujito, thinking of the man she fell in love with. Before she could delve too deep into thoughts about him, Yujito felt a tug on her hand and looked down to see a child holding onto it. One look, and it wasn't hard to tell the child was hers either. A small boy, just over 3 years of age, with stunningly matching features to herself. Everything about him practically said Yujito except for the more golden blonde hair and violet eyes that he got from his father. Who'd have thought that moment in the forest of death would result in such a miracle? And Yujito was right. She would have never guessed such a thing would occur. She and Naruto were always careful. At least she was. Having the Nibi within her gave her something akin to auto-birth control in that regard, so they never had to worry. While a good thing, it led to carelessness. Carelessness thanks to Yujito having the Nibi ripped from her and being barely saved by Naruto before death. Then upon her awakening, them shacking up for hours, and Tada. Senju Boruto was staring up at her these years later, trying to get her to get a move on. Come on, Kachan. We have to go. It's time. I'm coming, said Yujito, steadily getting dragged along by her child. He was so excited that it was infectious and got Yujito to smile. He gets so excited just like his father. Yujito stared at the little boy happily dragging her through the leaf village as she looked around. Yujito was greeted by everyone who managed to spot her being led along by her child. Perks of being the hero's girl are still strong, thought Yujito, acknowledging everyone despite the constant tugging from her son. Makes sense. Naruto-kun didn't just save the village. He saved the world. Madara's genjutsu would have enslaved the world. It was hard to live down such a feat even if Yujito didn't directly do it. Being Naruto's lover, that praise fell over into her lap whether she wanted it to or not. The 4 years since, she still wasn't used to it. More so because the world heard of Naruto's actions and felt the same way. Mainly the other Kage of the hidden great villages. This was why the villages would come together every year on the day of Naruto's Herculean efforts. Not entire villages but a village contingent was brought to Konoha to celebrate such a day. To continue building peaceful outlooks with one another. Was the world peaceful? Of course not. But this day was helping lead up to that point as the most influential people in the world all met and shared good times. All thanks to something Naruto had done. The dream Hashirama entrusted you with looks to be almost reality, Naruto-kun, thought Yujito, making it to Konoha's conference center. Seeing the 4 Kage of the other villages all commingling with one another brought a smile to her face. Your relationships with all of these people have brought them together where they can make a bond. Where they can see the cards of others and show their cards in return. And when leaders understand, the villages they lead tend to follow. Yujito looked at the people gathered and just smiled. Iwagakure's Kage happened to be the Sandaime Tsuchikige's daughter, Kuratsuchi. She was a beautiful woman with strength that matched, and while she didn't know Naruto as personable as the others, she had a reason to come to Konoha. In the form of Uchiha Sasuke, who stood next to her. Even though Sasuke was trying to downplay how much he misses her when she isn't there, they looked good together. Yujito's eyes drifted to the next Kage, Terumi Mei. Like Kuratsuchi, Naruto's and her relationship weren't very personable, for Yujito reasons cause that woman always tried to steal him, but Naruto had touched the ones in her contingent. Those included Zabuza and Haku, who both stood off to the side. Haku with her lover, Suigetsu, and Zabuza chatting away with his fellow swordsman, Kisame. After Naruto died, Kisame ended his fight with Itachi and returned home. He was surely punished for his actions prior, but it was good to see him smiling. Next up was the Kazekage, Gaara. Yujito didn't feel like she needed to dive into why Naruto was important to him. Gaara himself thought the world of Naruto. It'd only make sense he was here. Plus, Yujito was sure his sister had a thing for Naruto's friend, Shikamaru. Of course, they were coming. And lastly, Yujito spotted her own Kage. I stood looking the same as ever. She was the reason he and Naruto were so cool. He was practically her father. And Naruto and he bonded well with him, protecting her and his brother Bi several times. Plus, their little skirmishes and Naruto's connection to the man's chief rival helped also. It was weird to think Naruto had a hand in the lives of the Kages from the other major villages. How did one even meet one Kage from another village and get along? Let alone bring them all to his village and have them get along. It was crazy to think about. So crazy, Yujito barely registered her son taking off ahead of her. "IGG," shouted Boruto, letting go of his mother's hand upon spotting the hulking Raikage. Hearing his name, I turned to see the small boy barreling toward him and opened his arms to him. "You came. Hey, Boruto." And, of course. "I'm still Raikage, and it's my duty and honor to show up for another one of these," said I, meeting Yujito's eyes to see her wave at him. Yujito. "Hey, Raikage-sama. Where's Hokage Dano so we may start this?" Tsunade-sama." Murmured the medic hearing her name. Realizing that Yujito had arrived, Tsunade nodded her head and smiled. "Right. Let's get to it, shall we?" Raising a glass of alcohol, the others who were also of age did the same. A toast. To a man we all know. A man we all admire. And a man who saved the world. I don't know how he touched all of your lives. But if it was anything like how he touched mine, I say you thank Kami for meeting such a wonderful soul. To Naruto? To Naruto? Everyone else repeated the words before downing their drinks. And then the World Peace meeting began with the epic block party. With it being just as great as last year. Only, Yujito didn't drink her drink. Yujito couldn't. She just sat her drink down before quietly excusing herself from the festivities. Yujito took a step outside before sighing calmly and closing her eyes. "Naruto-kun," thought Yujito with her eyes closed and her hands on her stomach. She shook her head before a small tear ran down her cheek. I wish you." Yujito stood, hands on her stomach, while a gentle wind blew through the area. With that wind came an imposing aura. To enemies, it was a flea-on-sight aura. To her, it was the most comforting thing she'd ever felt. "Why are you crying, Nico?" Yujito's dark blue eyes slowly opened to see Naruto standing before her. He looked at her intently before kissing away her tear and placing his hands above hers. Yujito's lips curled into a smile as she looked at the man of her dreams. He was dressed dapperly in his Hokage cloak and hat. "I'm crying because I'm so happy." "Tears of joy. Is that so?" "I thought it was because you couldn't drink due to the bun in your oven." "You're right, and it makes me happy because of it. Our family is growing." "That it is," smiled Naruto while rubbing Yujito's pregnant belly. Naruto could feel the second chakra within her and smiled at its lively presence. "She seems happy too." "Well, you're here. But how do you know she's a she?" "I'm only 6 weeks along. Not even actually showing. Mama's boy didn't react so endearingly to my chakra. I don't think he likes me that much. Daddy's girl in there does. Just fatherly intuition is all." A good point. "She always gets more lively when Daddy's around," said Yujito, kissing Naruto chastely on the lips. She stayed close, nose to nose with Naruto, before she whispered. "So does Mommy. Careful. We have a peace meeting," warned Naruto, feeling Yujito's hands roam a bit. Both their eyes were closed, but Naruto could feel her smiling. Until her hands gripped him hard, and her eyes widened in shock. "What's wrong?" The baby she's. "What? What's the?" started Naruto before seeing the mischievous look on his wife's face. "Ugh," she got him again. "I'm never going to see the end of this for what I did." "Nope," giggled Yujito, popping the P sound before kissing Naruto again. Flashback, 4 years ago. Naruto looked shocked for a second, staring at himself to see no changes before looking out at Yujito. Before he could say or do anything, Naruto's face cracked, seemingly like destroyed earth. His hair grew white from its sunflower blonde as he aged considerably. He was decaying rapidly. One last look at Yujiro before he crumbled into nothingness. Everyone's eyes widened in shock from the scene before them as the wind picked up and carried the dust that once was Naruto away from them. "Naruto," said Yujiro softly, not understanding what just happened. Even the fight between Kisame and Itachi was put on halt as the man who slew Madara was seemingly dissolved into dust. "Naruto." Yujiro fell to her knees in disbelief at what she saw. Naruto's chakra vanished. It was gone entirely. Yujiro sat shaking her head because she didn't believe this was real. All that they'd been through and he just... Gotcha. Yujiro perked up hearing Naruto's voice behind her, followed by snickers. Yujiro turned to see Naruto, completely normal, standing behind her with a smirk on his face. Several tears had already seeped down Yujido's cheeks as Naruto started to feel bad. "Oh baby, I didn't mean to make you think I did, but bad joke." Began Naruto feeling bad by the prank he played. A blue flame coated Yujito's body as Naruto could feel killing intent. Genuine killing intent. "Nico, it was just a joke. To get you back for dying on me twice and dash. Katan, Tenchi Kaijin, fire style, heaven and earth end in ashes." A violent burst of blue fire expanded immediately, with Yujito at its epicenter. The others watching had to turn away for a moment at the light given off by the powerful flames. When they turned back, they saw an ash and soot-covered Naruto running for his life with Yujito in hot pursuit. "Nico! I'm sorry. I'm sorry," cried Naruto running into the forest. Yujito followed right after before continuous blue flame spawned. Everyone heard Naruto's cries the entire time. "It was just a joke, oh come on. You're not even the Nibi's Jinchuriki anymore. How can you still use blue fire?" Out of everyone, Tsunade was the first to react. "Idiot. Just like his sensei," said Tsunade with a smile on her face. She punched her palm and nodded her head. "Let's finish this up so I can heal those who need it, and we can party." Flashback end. Ending the kiss, Yujito intertwined hands with Naruto. A few more chaste kisses before she turned and led him into the party. "You're late, Hokage-sama. It wouldn't do good to miss more? You're the hero after all," informed Yujito, feeling Naruto tug her back into him. Her body molded perfectly into his as she could feel him smiling. This time, Yujito felt Naruto's hands roam over her. "Hokage-sama. You're right. I'm late. It's not like I can be late twice." Yujito grew excited. "I should take my time." Yujito knew where this was going. So a simple smile was on her face before the two of them vanished in a flicker. Yujito's melodious laugh was the last thing heard as it was carried away by a gentle breeze.